Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dreadbread. Welcome to Space Monkey Mafia. Give me one moment, please, to get everything set up and ready. I was going to do this earlier today after I got home from work because I got off quite early today. I had a little shift today because of the cuts they're doing to the hours. And hello, everybody, and welcome to the stream. I'm just posting some stuff up first before we hop on into this catch-up stream. Um, let's see here. Please forgive me. Just one moment. Boom, boom, boom. Boom. Come on. There we go. All good. All's good. All's great. Shoot. Shoot. Come on. Awesome. So, everything is now good. Everything is great. Everything's now set up. I'm going to be hopping in shortly. I know I've already lost a viewer. That is okay. I like to talk a little bit before we actually hop into things. That's just how I am. That's just what I do. Because I don't want to ramble on watching through the previews. I will have to try to talk over the music. I did get copyright ID claim. This time it does look like it was from a legitimate source. The guy who owned the music did. But still, I still have fair use on my side, so me commentating and doing reviews and stuff should have not gotten that ID claim. Other big channels over on YouTube did the same thing. They live streamed it. They did exactly what I did, and they did not get any copyright ID claims or anything like that. So that is totally bogus. Totally. Small channels get picked on. It's not fair. But it is what it is. Like I said, I was going to do this earlier. I went after work. I went and I grabbed something to eat, and I have allergies to certain foods. Fish, anything that comes out of the water is no bueno for me. And the guy contaminated my food, even though I told him like, "Hey, I have this allergy," because he was making somebody else's food at the same time. And I said, "Please, like, I'm definitely allergic to fish." The guy's like, "Oh no, I'll go change my gloves." And then he went and he supposedly changed his gloves, which he did not, because after I got home, ate my food, after I scarfed it down my mouth hole, I experienced something which I haven't experienced before. Uh, the inside of my mouth felt like there were spiders crawling all over it and on my tongue and down my throat. It was very unpleasant. I had to take Benadryl right away and stuff, so the guy did contaminate my food. That was a symptom I've never had with food allergies before. Usually what happens with my food allergies is I get very sick to my stomach, my throat gets really sore, and I get a really weird but painful migraine. It's not like a normal migraine like I usually get. It's very, very different. It's no fun. No bueno. But here we go. I will mute the stream and go back to the just chatting if ads do pop up again. That happened last time. This is a longer stream. Whoop. Oh no, it's a shorter stream. It's only 27 minutes. Okay. So they must have cut out a great deal of it. But we're going to be watching this one, and then we will probably... there's another one. We'll probably check out this one here, the Warhammer Fist Age of Sigmar preview as well. I wasn't actually going to do that one, because Age of Sigmar really isn't my cup of tea. I do like some of the models. I did buy some of the Seraphon models because I thought they were cool and I wanted to paint them up. I do like Old World. There was a game on the PlayStation 1 that we played with the Old World. It was pretty cool, pretty awesome. I do like the Horus Heresy stuff. I know I've said I'm behind actually reading the books. I am very much behind reading the books, but one of the very first books that I actually read when I started getting into Warhammer and stuff was the Betrayer, which is a very, very good book. And then I read some Space Marine stuff by Graham McNeil. And then I went back to Eisenhorn. I read the first book. I need to finish the second book and the other books for Eisenhorn. Eisenhorn's a very good series. And then I read the first book in the Horus Heresy, which was so long ago that I'm actually re-listening to it on audio because I don't remember everything. And then I read halfway through the second book. And I've just read a handful of different books through about Space Marines and stuff, about the Carcharodons. I really like those books. I read the books about the Death Guard. I read Conrad Kurz. I always call him Conrad Cruz, but no, it's Conrad Kurz. I read his book. I read the book on Angron, Big Angry Man. And I've read a lot of stuff online and things like that. I do like the Horus Heresy. I like the setting. The old world fascinates me. It's really cool. I've heard mixed things about this, so we'll find out. I know I've already read on Twitter, spoiler, there is no supposedly starting set for this, which is a giant miss out on their part. There should have been a starter set for the old world. I really do wish, or I'm hoping they're bringing back old heroes and stuff. They'd be very nice. Maybe some new models of the old heroes and stuff that they killed off. Because they killed off all the Seraphon heroes. They killed off all the really cool vampire accounts. They killed off a lot of people. And they need to bring back a new model for Throg. I do like that character. Anyway, let's go.
Hello!
Hello!
Hello! And welcome!
You're a bit loud. Don't yell into the mic.
Welcome to the Warhammer Fest 2023 Warhammer, the Horus Heresy and Old World Preview.
Hooray!
That sound is 800 excited Warhammer fans sitting in the auditorium, and we are also joined
Just
online
800?
by thousands of people watching along on Twitch. Big welcome to all of you.
Yes,
My name is Eddie,
welcome.
and I am joined today by Alex. Alex, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for
I
having
like
me.
when they do
It
this.
looks like I've got a bit of a head up on the competition there.
Yeah, I think that duel is going to go very well for you. I've got a really good feeling about it. Is everybody enjoying Warhammer Fest so far?
Yay!
Cool.
Warhammer
Anybody in
Fest.
here for our previous previews? Come again? Yeah. Are you
I
guys
watched the other
excited
ones
about some
last
Horus
night.
Heresy stuff?
Yes!
Do you want to see some old world stuff?
Yes!
Okay. We might have a few things to show you. Alex, how is your Warhammer Fest going so far?
Oh, it's going absolutely fantastically. Obviously, we had the AOS releases this morning, and yesterday 40k. Underworlds, I was particularly a fan of the Flesh Eater Court's Warband.
Very
War
cool.
Cry.
Yeah. Obviously, we have also seen a brand new edition of Warhammer 40,000 launch box
Yay.
showcased yesterday. That is very much
That's
the
what I covered?
the kind of highlight, I suppose, the leading punch of Warhammer Fest this year. But it is certainly not the only thing we have to showcase. We're going to kick off today with a little bit more news about the old world.
All right, let's get it on. What's coming back?
Cool. Okay, so the old world release is still a little way off, but we squirreled our way down to the Warhammer studio to see if there was anything they could show us about what they'd been up to, and we prized some miniatures away from them, freshly painted.
Ooh.
The paint's still wet on them, and we managed to cook up a little video so you guys can have a look at some of the first miniatures we're ready to fully announce for the old world. So let's have a look.
Let's get it on. Gross. I'm putting the music down and talking over this because the whole world will fear the raft because I'm really tired of content I declaimed. Very cool laughter. Ooh, they brought back the Tomb Kings. Very cool. But are they plastic or resin or are they metal? That is the question. Super Commander. Ooh, what is this? Holy Crusader? Oh, sword through the orc. Not cool. It's a Bretonian. Guy, I wonder if he's a Blood Bowl player.
We will fight
Oh.
for our people, for our home, for the lady.
For the lady! Don't know who the lady is. Can Bretonia hold back the Tomb Kings? Find out more.
There we go. So there we go. There we go. Some brand new miniatures on the way for Warhammer, the Old World. Let's have a talk about this model first. This is a Bretonian Paladin.
Ooh.
This will be a familiar character to those of you who are familiar with the world that was, the Old World, in its previous incarnation of Warhammer Fantasy Battles. This is a questing knight. It looks like he's just lopped the head off a mighty orc warlord of some sort. Alex, what do we know about this guy?
So the Bretonian Paladins are kind of like almost like a lieutenant style character within the Bretonian army.
Why does
So they
everything
could
have to be a lieutenant?
knights of any rank. And they tend to have, the main force of Bretonia is the Knights of the Realm, and they obviously can be on foot, they can be on horseback, but this guy being a paladin, he's the same. He's not necessarily taking the quest to go be a questing knight. He's not necessarily drank from the Grail. This might be by choice. You know, he doesn't feel ready, or maybe it's by circumstances. Maybe he's got lands and holdings that need him, because obviously when you go on the quest for the Grail, you've got to abandon all your earthly possessions. And there's some fantastic details on this model, and I think we've seen
a very
our
cool
first
model.
orc of the day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice little hint there about some of the other things that might be on the way for the Old World as well.
Oh,
It'd be very odd if we just had the head.
true.
Yeah.
But yes, fantastic details. That stag helm is incredible. If you look on his back, obviously, if you can't afford a horse, or your horse was killed, you are going to have to carry all of your own stuff.
Unless you have some peasants.
Sucks.
Yes.
How many peasants would you need to carry a horse load of stuff?
At least two, one for the front, one for the back.
Oh yes, perfect.
Right, so this is a resin kit. There will be plastic kits on the way as well. What you'll tend to find is that all of the factions that come out or are supported for the Old World will see a mix of returning kits. They'll see some new resin kits, and they'll see some new plastic kits. There's some options for this kit as well. So, ooh, right, yeah, he hasn't got a helmet on. How cool is that, right? Yeah.
Alternative build.
So you get some options in terms of how you want to put this together. You get helmeted and unhelmeted head. So if you want to
Not
have
a fan of the unhelmeted head.
you know, rugged-looking questing knight, maybe lost his helmet in battle, you can have that as well. Or maybe the battle's over and he's kind of sticking his sword in the orc warlock. Yeah. That's very cool. Okay, well, let's have a look at that Tomb King as well.
Ooh, the
Here we
Tomb
go.
King. Somebody get him some Bretmans.
So again,
Get a
foot hero
Rose,
for the
mate.
forces of the Tomb Kings. Alex, what do we know about this guy?
Yes, obviously the Tomb Kings were buried, entombed, and embalmed by the mortuary cults, and the whole idea was that they would be preserved as best as possible and then returned to life. That didn't go according to plan, and no amount of embalming is going to keep you safe after thousands of years. And so when they've come back, you can see the fantastic difference between the flesh and the metal. So the flesh is all withered away. You can see that spine there sticking out from his stomach. But
Gross.
all of his ornate golden armor, it still looks fantastic. The only difference being the Koppesh-style sword he's got there is all chipped and battered. So maybe he died in battle.
Maybe he's been using it since.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's absolutely fantastic model. Same again.
Do
It's
like it.
full of beautiful details. Yeah, no, he's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and both of these models are sort of typical of the sort of aesthetic and style you can see. They're quite clearly very reminiscent of the stuff we saw in Warhammer Fantasy Battle, and they'll fit very nicely if you already have an army for Warhammer Fantasy Battle for either Tomb Kings or Bretonians, or if you want to start a new one as well. So we've got a few more things to talk about, some
Alrighty.
details about what's going on with the Old World. So this is the map of the Old World. We've shown this a
map.
little bit before, but it just gives you a sense of where this game is set, basically, where the setting we're concentrating on. And we've got a few things to tell you about the time and the place of where the old world setting is going to be. So the game is very much set in the old world, and we mean that in, like, literally geographically, it's set in the bit of the world that was. It's called the old world. In terms of the timeline, it's going to be during the time of the Three Emperors. For those of you who are familiar with Warhammer Fantasy Battle, that was the time just before the Great War against Chaos. So there's loads of stuff happening at this time. There's things like battles in the Border Princes. There are Empire has got civil war and infighting. There are undead armies rising up. There are orc wars on the way. There's invasions from the south, from the Tomb Kings. Huge big chaos army coming down from the north. So it's a really exciting time, basically. And it also puts it hundreds of years before the events of the end times. So what you'll see is that lots of the mortal characters that are contemporary to the end times, you probably won't see, but you might see some things that are continuous that would still exist in the time of the Three Emperors.
So
we'll also see lots of new characters, so named characters that are significant to that period in time.
Okay, that's what I was worried about. Is
the focus for the old world team has very much been on the factions that are battling at that time. So the armies that are going to getting attention are those ones that I've just talked about there, basically, that are actively fighting in the area of the old world, whether they're invaders or they are the defenders of the old world.
So very limited.
So
very limited.
A few other bits about it. So every
factions.
time one of our factions gets covered, you can expect to basically see some returning miniatures. The Warhammer Fantasy Battle range is vast. And there's lots of really nice miniatures in there, so we'll give people a chance to get those again. You'll also see some new things in plastic. You'll also see some new characters and things in resin. So it'll be a mix of different things. If you've got an existing Warhammer army, you can add into them, or you can start a new one. The other thing is that even though we're concentrating on the events of the old world, we'll also make sure that if you have a Warhammer Fantasy Battle army, it will be supported in the old world. So if you have an 8th edition fantasy army, you will be able to effectively play it in Warhammer the Old World, which is pretty cool. I think it won't come as a surprise to you guys that the first factions that we're going to be giving attention to are Bretonnia and Tomb Kings. So both of those factions will get new resin models, new plastic models, and see returning armies as well.
Okie dokie.
We've got a little bit of art to show you guys. The team that's been working on the new old world stuff have also been working hard at things like the army book equivalent that will be coming out. And what they've basically been doing is trying to replicate the kind of look and feel and aesthetic of Warhammer Fantasy Battle and bring that kind of old world feel to some of the artwork. So I get to show you some new stuff today. So here we go. That's the first one we've got. Very nice. Bretonnians versus Tomb Kings. You can see it's very reminiscent of the sort of style of art that you might have seen in Warhammer Armies books of old. Got a Bretonnian peasant there. That's one of the guys who might be carrying that stuff.
Yeah, very grizzled. Often those bows will be heirloom items passed kind of from father to son.
There we go. So Bretonnian blessing there. So a lot of the lore of the old world is fleshed out a little bit more. So the idea of Bretonnian knights having a slightly ritualistic, religious kind of feel to them will very much still be a part of it. Their weapons particularly will be blessed by various deities, particularly the Lady of the Lake and that sort of thing. And that's still true at this time as it is at the events of the end times. Some Tomb King stuff over there as well. Look at that guy. It's pretty cool.
So yeah, the Nehekarans obviously would sculpt big Shabti, typically in the form of giant warriors, their gods, that sort of thing, like Jaff, the jackal-headed god of war. And so these statues would be animated by having powerful souls interred within them. And yeah, as you can imagine, a sort of 9-10 foot giant obsidian statue coming at you would be absolutely terrifying.
Even if you are a knight.
Yes.
Cool horse. Okay. A little more there. So obviously Tomb Kings have got undead creatures in their armies as well. A lot of these units might be familiar to you if you remember Warhammer Fantasy Battle of old. But yeah, it's always nice to see them kind of reinvented and reimagined, isn't it? And then in terms of returning kits as well, you'll see things like remember that guy?
That's a cool looking model.
So I think the Necrosphinx, I think one of the later models to come out for the Tomb Kings, really, really beautiful miniature that I think it's been a shame that we haven't been able to get hold of for a few years. So models like that, really great kind of centerpiece kits you'll have a chance to pick up again, which is really cool. Okay, right. I'm afraid, guys, that is all we've got about the old world today. There'll be plenty more on the way.
That's it?
If you're in the audience today as well,
Man.
you will have a chance to ask some questions at the end of the show too. So start thinking about what you'd like to ask. But we're going to move on to a little bit of Horus Heresy stuff.
Ooh.
So we'll kick off with something big.
Uh-oh. Turning down the music. We have a knight. Very cool. Very awesome. I wonder if there's actually going to be parts you can put in the empty part of that shield to make it look like it's been activated. I do love Imperial Knights. That's very cool. I bet you this is going to be the plastic version of this kit. I believe this kit originally is a Forge World model that is resin that's still super duper expensive. So this one's probably going to be even more expensive in plastic, possibly, especially with their price jack-ups and everything. This is a very cool model. Very excited that it's coming out. There we go. Wow, wow. Okay, there we go. Hooray! Huzzah! Knight Lancer.
So there it is. This is a Cerastus Knight Lancer. This is a new plastic kit. Right?
There we go, people. Ooh.
A new plastic kit, primarily for the Horus Heresy,
like
but
that.
also Cerastus Knight Lancers still exist in the 41st Millennium too, so you'll also be able to use it in games of Warhammer 40,000. It is a super cool, detailed plastic kit.
It is.
This has been available in resin for a little while. Resin is not everyone's first choice of material. The plastic kit brings with it lots of extra posability. It's got some options in the kit as well. If you have a look at the one on screen, you'll see things like Eye of Horus iconography on it. Boo, boo. If it's a traitorous one, you can also have different icons. Inside it as well, you can see that you get a knight pilot in there too. So it's a really cool, flexible, multi-part plastic kit. Alex, anything you want to add about the Knight Lancer?
Yes, so you can see the digitigrade legs, sort of like a hound, because they're able to charge ahead. So this is a sort of a swifter pattern of knight, maybe a little bit more advanced than the ones we've usually seen, the errants and the paladins. Perhaps because this one was specifically designed for war. So you tend to get pilots that are a little bit more enthusiastic, that want to charge ahead of the lines, and particularly if you're fighting, say, against a rival knight house, they want to get ahead, they want to have that lance, and they want to strike that killing blow.
Yeah, so maybe not quite the shooting output, long-range shooting output of some of the other slower knight builds, but all about the combat, this guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Very cool. Painted there, I think, in the colours of House Divine, if I'm not mistaken, which is one of the houses of Moloch, I believe.
So.
I'm sure someone in the audience will cry out if I'm wrong. But yeah, really cool, flexible multi-part kit on its way.
Like knights. They're
I think
just super
long
expensive.
overdue, I think, to have
Yes.
this particular version of Knight has been very popular. Lots of people putting together the resin ones, and now you can do it in plastic. Much easier to add into your household. Right, we're going to tell you a little bit more about what's going on within the Siege of Chthoniya. We've got some new models to show you. This is the planet of Chthoniya. As you see, it looks a little bit drab, but the good things come from there, or not, depending on your perspective. We're going to have a look at some of the characters that will be leading the forces on the loyalist and traitor side of the Siege of Chthoniya. We'll start off with the son of Horus. This is Veren Ashuradan, who is the true son of Horus, which has been charged with protecting the homeworld of the Sons of Horus, which has been effectively taken over by the Loyalists. He's been sent to claim it back. Anything you want to tell us about this guy?
Yeah, so Cadre Captain Veren Ashuradan, one of the true Sons of Chthoniya. So this is a group within the Sons of Horus, which basically harken back to the old ways. They want to have that kind of gang mentality, the honor, that sort of thing, which they feel that a lot of the new legionnaires don't really have. So when it comes to the Siege of Terra and everything like that, Chthoniya being just to the southwest of Terra, obviously has been retaken by the Imperials.
I want more Night Lord
at this
stuff,
point,
please.
There's not really a huge amount of benefit to taking Chthoniya back. They're on the way to Terra. That's the goal. So he persuades Horus that this is more of a token gesture,
Like an honor
a
thing.
symbolic thing. Yes. And so he's joined by many of the other true Sons of Horus that are, Sons of Chthoniya that are they're basically torn between either fighting beside Horus in his final victory or sort of reclaiming their home.
So this is relatively contemporary to the Siege of Terror itself.
Yes.
Cool. So there we go. That's the leader of the Sons of Horus. Let's have a look at the leader that the Imperials have sent to defend this planet. There we go. It's a good model, isn't it? It's good. This is Evander Garius. He is a veteran of the Imperial Fists and looks like an absolute bruiser.
Yes,
tell us more about him, Alex.
So
He's a
Lord
big
Castellan
boy.
Evander Garius is the protector of Cathonia, or tyrant of Cathonia, depending on your point of view. His job was not just to hold the world after it was first taken during the first siege of Cathonia, but he was also to spread the imperial truth to the populace and try and get them on side. Bit of a thankless
How's that
task,
going?
as you can imagine, with the gangs. And basically after the first siege, a huge number of the Sons of Horus that were on the world, they didn't really put up that much of a fight. They escaped down into the tunnels, and so they've been plaguing him ever since.
Yeah. So he's not the most popular with Dawn, is he?
He's been a bit of a vainglorious leader, takes some unnecessary risks, some unnecessary losses with in a legion that's so pragmatic. That's not favoured.
Yeah, and he's quite a veteran commander. I think, is he Terran born? Is it?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so that's the two leaders. We've got a little bit more to show you about what's coming up in the Siege of Cathonia book. We've announced this book previously, but we've got a bit more to show you. We've got some of the art from the new Siege of Cathonia book. Let's have a little look.
Yes, please.
There we go. So this is the commander of the Imperial Fist himself leading the charge. Some beautiful artwork again done
Shoot
by the
them
great
over
photography
there.
team and artwork team in our Warhammer
That's why
studios.
he's pointing.
There's some unusual characters that play some parts in the Siege of Cathonia as well. So on the next slide, we'll see, maybe
what?
not quite the team that you'd expect to be
Why is
fighting together. You've got a traitor, well, a loyalist or traitor, depending on your perspective. 1,000 Sun there inside the Imperial Fist. Anything we know about him, Alex?
Yes, so one of the things with
He's going.
Cathonia is being quite close to Terra. If there was, say,
those
fallout,
warbearers?
people running away from other battles, I say running away, retreating tactically from other battles, they would often get trapped because they can't go through Horus's fleet to get to Terra. So Cathonia is sort of the next best thing. So you've got loads of Iron Hands, you've got Word Bearers, as you can see there, that have shown up. You've got some Alpha Legion that have shown up. But on the side of the Loyalists, there was a group of 1,000 Suns that, after the fall of Prospero, escaped to Terra. And so when Garius has requested some more aid, Terra's gone, well, we can't really give you any more of our best troops. We do have these guys. We don't really trust them, so we're going to send
It
some
would kind of be
Sisters
all
of
right if they
Silence
didn't
with
come
them.
back. That's what they're saying.
Yeah. So
Operation
you've got a group of 1,000
Sturdy
Suns.
Shields.
So
There
they're
you go.
loyalists. They're fighting for the Emperor. on
Everyone's loyal to
Cathonia.
someone, Alex. Cool. There's some obviously an opportunity with these books to have some brand new heraldry and artwork in there. So one of the really cool things about the black books we had of old of the Horus Heresy is they were absolutely jam-packed with like different ways
we gonna
to
be
do,
getting
to do
shields
armies
too?
and theme your legion into a specific way of fighting. And there's some of those as well in this new book. There is a particularly interesting new style of heraldry, which is these guys. So what are these about?
Huh.
So these are the Inductii, and this is sort of an umbrella catch-all term for the legionaries that were raised after Istvan. So these come with some pros and cons. So the legions used a variety of methods to speed up the process. That might have been extreme hyper-indoctrination, which is what we saw with the World Eaters, using past memories in order to make their fighters better so they don't have to spend that time training, they just know. Or it might be implanting a lot of the organs really fast, and that can have some side effects where you might get some malformed legionaries, you might get some that don't necessarily fit their armor. It's the same deal with the armor as well, that it must have been hastily put together. So Evander Garius, very pragmatic as he is, raised about 5,000 of these from Cathonia. So these are the gangers of Cathonia raised as Imperial Fists. They suffered the same issues that all of the Sons of Horus did, is that the gangers didn't really take to the psycho-indoctrination that well. And as you can imagine, with the issues of the Imperial Fist gene seed, there was quite a high fallout rate.
So you're starting to see some quite interesting stuff there about like the induction process isn't quite perfect. We know that in Warhammer 40,000 some of the gene seeds and things are starting to fail.
Yes.
Might be a little hint at some of that to come. Might also be a hint about some of the different chapters and things that the legions will eventually break into. 'Cause you imagine that if they survive, that those 5,000 warriors of Cthonia
Yeah.
probably aren't going to go ahead and be the ones that join the Imperial Fist
Yes.
chapter at the end of it.
There's a bit of a social issue as well. So after the Horus Heresy, some of the Magos biologists, they discovered that there wasn't a huge amount of difference physiologically between them and a regular Space Marine. So the legions tended to treat them differently, and that might have been more of a cultural element. But that
That's
did bleed
interesting.
over into the Inductii. So you've got some
Very
Emperor's children
interesting.
that say weren't allowed to wear the Emperor's Palatine Aquila, which, seeing as they were rebelling against the Emperor, was probably suited them. Or you had some of the Space Wolves, and often their Inductii would be a lot more aggressive and impetuous because it was almost like they were trying to prove themselves to their elders.
Yeah. So some interesting opportunities there if you wanted
Very
to kind of
interesting. Very
start to
cool.
hint at where your legion might be heading in the 41st millennium as a chapter or a traitor legion. Yeah, fun. Cool. All right. So some more things to tell you about what's going on with the Horus Heresy. The Horus Heresy is, at the moment, a very Space Marine versus Space Marine fight.
Non-Space Marine
but the Horus
models
Heresy is
soon.
also a war for all of mankind. So one of the things you should keep your eye out for in the next few months is some non-Space Marine stuff.
Adeptus
So stuff for the Horus
Mechanicus,
Heresy that
Imperial
isn't
Guard.
in power armor. So we do have a bit of a roadmap for you guys today. If you want to have a look at what's coming up in the next 12 months or so. So let's have a look, shall we? See what's going on. Right. So we can see that in spring this year, we already know about some of these things. We've got the Vindicator Siege tank is on its way, and the Van de Gareth and the Varen Assuredin. Some of you reading ahead, I see already. We have a Knight Lancer on its way in summer, and across the rest of the year, basically, we have loads of new characters and upgrades. Then in autumn, things start to get pretty juicy. We've got more Lords of War, as well as the Knight Lancer. We have a new type of Dreadnought. We have an Armor Mark update. We have a Primarch. Another Primarch. So we've obviously already gone through the 18, depending on how you're counting, Primarchs. And we've seen Horus Ascendant.
Yeah.
So we know that the Primarchs aren't all quite as they were at the start of the Horus Heresy, at the end of the Horus Heresy. So this is going to be another version of a Primarch that maybe isn't what he was when the heresy began. So you've got that to look forward to. We have a mystery army release in winter. Who knows what that could be? Could be anything. I think one of the most requested things is an assault squad
Yeah.
for the Horus Heresy.
Yay!
There you go. And then early into next year, we have the Legion Command squads and melee weapon upgrades. So those will fit really nicely with the assault squads to give you even more options for your multi-part plastic Space Marines. So we've got some pictures for you of some of the stuff, just to give you a bit of a hint of what's coming. So we'll kick off with this one. I'm not going to talk too much about it. You can kind of pick it apart for a few seconds for yourself. There you go. Ooh, what's in there? Okay.
Okay,
Some
we got
new
a
stuff.
tank and-
Okay, and then we've got one final picture for you guys. You can have a look at the assault squad. Yeah.
That's nice. I'd like some different poses though.
So we are well aware that the assault squad was the top of a lot of people's lists for the thing they wanted adding into the Horus Heresy. This is a multi-part plastic assault squad coming hopefully before the end of this year. It will have loads of options. Absolutely, if you want to use this in your Warhammer 40,000 armies as well as an assault squad, they are beaky Space Marines. You can use them for 40k as well if you'd like to. But they absolutely fill a very important niche in your Horus Heresy army. So there you go, guys.
Yep.
Assault squad's on the way. We
Cool
do have
beans.
one more video to show you,
Uh-oh.
which is a little bit of a tease. There's not a huge amount of information, but there's a few hints if you want to try and pick it apart at your own leisure after this preview. So I'm going to show you the last video.
Uh-oh. Command legions. Okay, is it going to be a new game? I really hope it's not a mobile game. That is it.
Okay, guys. So for the preview, that is the preview element of this show over. If you are watching along on Twitch, thank you ever so much for joining
Yay.
us. That stuff will be up on the Warhammer community website in the next few minutes for you to check out. And you can watch this again. Thank you for joining us. If you are in the audience, feel free to stick around. We will be having about half an hour of Q&A. You can ask any questions you like about the Horus Heresy or the old...
Alrighty, so that's that done.